driving over 100 hours, 5,300 miles with my sons through a variety of states and cities, all the way out to California. We visited a bunch of schools, community development initiatives along the way. So I'm going to just keep this brief. Three things I learned on this trip and why it relates to what we're doing right now. Everywhere I went, wherever I wanted to go see the Black and Latino community, I was depressed. So I'm going to start out with that. If I wanted to see what we were getting, we weren't getting very much. And the only ways our children got things was to leave their neighborhoods. So their parents always, every city we go to, they have to bus them for hours or more to some other neighborhood, whether I was in Oklahoma, Denver, Omaha, Nebraska, Las Vegas, San Diego, all the places we went. That's what it's like for our kids. The second thing that was challenging was that in none of the cities that we visited, in some of these places, like my cousin's house in Santa Fe, New Mexico, that is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. But our young people don't live there, can't afford to live there. And a few people that lived there forever, they can't even afford to live there anymore. And so what I saw was, even in those communities, children are not a part of the cultural DNA of any of these places anymore. I can't think of one town or city where when I went there, I could feel that children were a high priority. It is about adults. Everywhere I went, adult playgrounds, everywhere, shopping malls, shopping centers, stores with purses that cost $3,000. I mean, who can afford that? And then when you ask people what they do with their kids, everything's expensive. Or the kids don't have anything. So even here in Madison, I don't get a sense in my own hometown that we are child-centric. There was a time when I felt, even when I was little, even in this neighborhood, I always felt like there were always things for us. Adults were always getting together around their children, right, Ms. Bester? But not anymore, not even in our own community, Black community. We are not a communal people anymore. When I went to Gurdon, Arkansas, where I just came from, the first time I've ever been to my grandmother's hometown, and they were saying the exact same thing in their high school. I talked to their principal, assistant principal, their elementary school principal, and in the neighborhood where my family grew up, exact same thing. There's nothing for the children to do, or it's too expensive. So the third thing, though, that I was excited about was a tremendous amount of potential that we have to change that. So I have to process my experience. My sons do too. We let people live a little bit of it with us on Facebook. It's called Destination Education if you're on there. We're gonna put some more stuff up. But it's the most tripped out experience I've had ever in these last 12 days. But it has challenged me to live up to my own potential. Because in this city where I'm from, I grew up one block from here. Madison, like every place, has a box. And when you move to that place, people let you live out the box so they figure out how to get you in it. I am not living in the box in Madison at all. That's who I am. So this is really important because our parents, families, rich or poor, they need to know what it means to be ready, getting your child ready for the future, for right now. Because culture changes, expectations change, they naturally do. If we don't stay pace with that, then we fall behind. And those who set the pace are those who are already out front. Doesn't matter what neighborhood you live in, there are people in this neighborhood who set the pace for this neighborhood. If people don't know how to keep up, they fall behind. It goes like that for our whole city. So last two things, I saw some phenomenal schools. But all of those schools, people had to find a way to get there. So the most enterprising parents, or the ones who were lucky and find out about it, were the ones who got their children there. But the school that's on the Navy base where I went to the military, you're gonna see it, Maryland's on the school board in Sun Prairie, they're going out there next month. It's called High Tech High, and it's not only a high school, it's an elementary school. And they have several buildings. And when you go there, they're doing project-based learning with preschoolers. And I had to see this. But I'm like, they are really doing project-based learning. I've never seen this before. with preschoolers, elementary school, middle school, high school. Blew me away. The Clayton Early Learning Center in Denver, Colorado. Mr. Clayton is going to be upset still. He's probably spinning in his grave. This was an all boys school, it was all white boys, and they had like padlocked doors in the basement. I was like, why are they doing that with little boys, you know? But it's it's like a college campus for preschool. They have their own research institute. They have an educare center. I visited Susie Buffett. She's putting a lot of money into that. Warren Buffett. I visited her development in Omaha, Nebraska, where they're building a whole neighborhood like this. We raised all the properties, all the buildings, and are starting over with beautiful townhomes and homes and around the preschool. And they're building a K through 12 school on top of the preschool. It's phenomenal. So I can't live in this box. And so I'll let you guys go, but this today, because I wasn't here to do a lot of the publicity to get enough people here.
Do it again.
But we have to, because to start a movement, you gotta keep doing it. So I'm gonna ask you guys, we gotta do this like 4 or 5 more times till people catch on to just this part of what it means to get ready. And I gotta go, because I'm gonna go take my sons home. I'm gonna come back though. Okay. But they're like burnt out. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kaleem. Beautiful, beautiful, very helpful, and really that's what this is all about, is coming together as a community, bringing organizations together within the community, because sometimes even when we are in the same neighborhood, in the same setting, there's mystery about what it means for kindergarten, what it means for early childhood, what it means for our kids to be in home settings. And really what this is supposed to be about is a discussion where you are bringing your questions. You're telling the teachers what you need. And so when we talk about ready, and that's kind of this buzzword, but when we talk about ready, we need to think about what are we doing as families, as teachers, as health professionals, for our kids, to be ready for our kids. And so Colleen mentioned resources as being important, and how we teach and what we do is possible everywhere, and allowing our kids to be kids. And so hopefully what we're doing tonight is having you all speak out. So we had you in small groups in the other room, and we had topics like enrollment questions, what are the routines like, things that you might have questions about as community and family members. And what we're doing now is kind of sharing out what the teachers heard and the professionals heard up here from you. So what we'll do is just go across the panel and introduce ourselves and share a little bit about what we do at the schools, and then go back and have you share out any, as you are so moved, any ahas, any key questions that they heard from you, and then we'll really open it up. So this is your night, this is your space to find out as much as you possibly can about how we all can be ready for these amazing kids that we have in our community, to give them what they need to be successful. Success can be defined in many ways too, by the way. So what I'll do is start over here. I'm going to hand you the microphone, get comfortable. Yep.
I suggest everybody introduces themselves as they go along, just to save a little bit of time.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Sure. I just wanted to make sure everybody had time to share. So.
All right, sorry, I'm confused now. Am I supposed to share what I heard and share my position?
I think so.
Okay, just clarifying. Hi, I'm Alyssa Schultz. I teach first grade. I teach first grade at Midvale Elementary School. I teach in the Spanish immersion program, which I love being a part of. I love serving this community. Thank you guys for coming. I can say that on behalf of all of us. We're very grateful that there's people who think we have something worth listening to. Poor kids have to listen to us every day. My share out from my community thing is that there's still a lot of confusion on the district's behalf about how this neighborhood goes and feeds into the elementary schools that it goes to. And I can speak as a parent and as a teacher that that's something I think we need to work hard on to clarify, because it's not fun to not know what's coming next. And we want families that are coming to Midvale to understand that they're coming to Midvale and what choices they have when they come to Midvale. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Luz Arroyo, and I'm a kindergarten teacher.
in the dual language immersion program. Some of the questions that we talked about were what can in a child care in preschool do to get ready for kindergarten, which is great to see people come out and wanting to learn about what they can do. I hadn't even thought about like that being part of this, which is, it's great, you know. So that was very interesting and great conversation that we had. Also a little bit about the switch between 90-10 model in the immersion program to 50-50, where now 50% of the time is in English and 50% of the time is in Spanish. So that was another conversation that we had.
I'm Jennifer Richardson. I'm also a kindergarten dual language immersion teacher at Midvale. In our group, we talked a little bit about the difference between children that are coming from 4K that's either play-based or from home daycare and how that affects them as learners, and just talking about that, you know, kindergarten is square one for everyone and they're all starting at different places, but no matter where your child starts, we are there to prepare them for the year to come. And whether they've held the pencil or they're really high readers, we are there to support them in all of that. And the best thing that you can do is expose your child to different things like using scissors and playing with crayons and painting and looking at books. And even if it's just hearing you read, your child doesn't need to be a reader coming into kindergarten. But if you expose them to those things, they will be more comfortable and have an easier time transitioning to kindergarten.
My name is Leah Cepeda, and I am also a kindergarten teacher in the bilingual program. And we also talked about the importance of kids learning how to take risks and being okay with coming in and not necessarily knowing everything that maybe their peers know, and sort of making them comfortable with that, so that when they come, they're ready to get exposed to all the fun things that we have to offer.
Hi, I'm Becky Galvan. I'm a principal at Midvale Elementary School. I jotted down a couple things that we talked about at our table. We had a lot of community members at our table, and then we also had a parent who also, I was sitting with Alyssa, so we talked about the lack of clarity around your neighborhood school living in Madison, especially considering that Midvale is not a neighborhood school per se for the Lincoln neighborhood, but it is your school. So I think that it's important to know that you're in a gold mine of elementary schools. So Midvale and Lincoln, we consider ourselves one school with two campuses, and over the last several years, we've really worked hard at that. So we, Deb's the principal at Lincoln, we work closely together. We try to support families going into the Lincoln, try to keep siblings in classes that they've had with teachers that they've had before, and we have a phenomenal group of teachers. So it's really one of the best, I mean, we would say it's the best elementary school. We're a K-2 school, so that means only kindergarten through second at Midvale, and it is over on Midvale Boulevard. So what a lot of people don't know is that the pairing is really from desegregation in the 80s. So there's 3 paired schools in Madison, 3 sets of paired schools. Franklin is another one, and so you could live really close to Franklin, but be coming to Midvale. You do have a lot of choices as a parent where you can go to school in Madison. You can internally transfer. You can, at Midvale, you can be in the lottery for DLI. So there's a lot of choices that I think our school system could do a lot better at educating parents on. So while this group of people is phenomenally successful and qualified to teach children, what we don't do a lot of in our work is really reaching out to families, because our efforts are usually school-based. But that doesn't mean that we don't have a wealth of knowledge, and that we're trying to connect with you at many different opportunities that may or may not feel really comfortable for everyone. And that's unfortunately part of the system that has been created for centuries in our country, and so we're looking for different ways. So what we talked about that was exciting in our group was how we can connect more with the Goodman Library to be publicizing events for our kiddos who live in the Lincoln neighborhood and attend Midvale. And we talked about just kind of how school works. But I think the best thing you can do as a parent coming to any school is really, along with your kids, take risks by talking to teachers about what you need and what you think your students need. We consider you your student's first teacher by every means. And so you know more about how your student learns than we do. And we are at a loss without your support on our team. So everyone up here is a partner with you, and we consider ourselves partners. And so any way that we can connect with you is great.
My name is Jamie Schneed, and I teach kindergarten on the English side, so it's kind of funny that I'm over here and you guys are over there. So I'm in the English side, so we're just 100% English. Yeah. So my team will talk a lot about different things, but one of the main ones was regarding homework in kindergarten in the early years, which it kind of made me laugh a little bit because we've been talking a lot about this with our leadership team in Midvale, and we're trying to write a policy for that. So the policy is kind of teacher-based right now, depending on what the teacher wants, but we're all about play-based and what's right for our kids. So obviously we wouldn't have too much homework for kindergarten, hopefully. We just believe in reading a lot at home and more playing at home when you're supposed to be.
Hi, I'm Maggie Felker. I'm the current school nurse at Midvale. I'll be retiring in a couple of months. But the good news is that, I guess, a piece of good news is that the Lincoln nurse, Alyssa Pauls, is going to be the Midvale nurse starting next year. So she had a baby, and she wants just half-time, and the Lincoln school nurses paired with Wright Middle School, so she's gonna be at Midvale. So I'm really excited that I have such a fine placement. So Alyssa's gonna be there, and every school has a school nurse, usually half-time. But there's always someone in the health office because there's a nursing assistant. So if afterwards you wanted to talk with me about any questions about medication, asthma, allergy are big issues. Sometimes people don't even know, or because nobody's told them, that even something like eye drops or Tylenol needs a parent consent and a doctor consent. But we'll work with you on those things. So there always is a nurse or a nursing assistant available to your child.
I'm Carol Spear from One City. Bryce and I are doing tag teaming. And I got into the last part of the discussion, and Bryce shared about the homework. And that his piece that he shared is that at One City we don't send any homework home, but we do a lot of encouraging parents on what the next developmental steps are, or if they're asking for suggestions on certain areas, we'll send those home. But we're really focusing in on being play-based, and Bryce and I both got back from China after seeing the play curriculum from Angie, China Angie Play, and we are really excited. And I'm knowing as the Crying American on China TV because they interviewed me twice because I was crying. And it's an amazing program. And I like that the kindergarten teachers were talking about risk, because one of the key principles for Angie Play is being able to take risks. The first principle is love, and the way they exude love over there is incredible. Our definition of love doesn't even come close to what we experience. And from love, it gives children the opportunity to determine what they want to play, how they want to play, and take risks on doing that play. And third is joy, and then there's engagement, and the incredible amount of engagement that these children had was amazing. I've seen a 2.5-year-old that tried to climb this structure for over 15 minutes, and she did not stop. And we seen a sharing session for 5 and 6-year-olds who went 45 minutes, and it only stopped because we, the foreigners, had to leave. They were not done sharing yet. So I'm just very excited about hearing that at least there's a few kindergarten teachers who really think play should be back in kindergarten, and that risk should be part of that.
Great segue for me. And I think we're at a point too where we can open it up to questions. So we heard a little bit about the fabulous discussions that were started, and that's the tricky part of having multiple parts. You don't want to break up the discussion on one hand, but we want to share some of these rich insights that we had in smaller groups. One thing I'm hearing, and I can speak as a past director of an early childhood center, a past classroom teacher. I taught 4th grade. I never thought I would go that old in my teaching, and I did. And it was wonderful. And as a parent, I think one of the things that we struggle with in our culture is this idea of creating a continuity of care from early education into our public settings. One of the things that I understand as a past classroom teacher is some of the policy, and that came up, you know, that you, as a parent, you need to do this, that, and the other. And some of the rigor of like schedules. I was expected to teach literacy at a certain time, and hopefully that's not trickling all the way down into kindergarten already. But what Carol's talking about is really allowing children to express their love of learning naturally and in developmentally appropriate ways, which is through play. It's through taking risks. It's through our facilitation as family members and knowing our kids and encouraging that and sharing that with these teachers. And I think too often when we move from some of the early ed settings into the public K-12 settings, we as family members get afraid, like, I need them to like me. I want my child to be successful, so I don't want to share too much, but I don't know when to share or how to share who my child is, because of course I love my child and I know my child. So I just feel this so deeply as a parent too, who was a huge part, came in at circle time and sat down with the early educators and started singing and doing all of that stuff and showing up all the time and being a part of the food and the prep and the community. And then going to kindergarten and being told, you have to stop here, you can't come in, your child will be fine. And it was not the school's fault, right? That was just kind of the culture of where we were at the time. And how hard that was for me to make sense of that as a new parent. So I just want to share that story and open it up to you all. If you're comfortable in asking some questions and continuing this conversation, we have time. We have about, I think, 15 minutes maybe, Mimi? Is that right? Okay. So I don't want it to just lull, but I really want to hear back after I drop that bomb too about how hard it is for teachers to be able to hear some response around play and project-based learning and welcoming families into this new setting that can be scary, not only for kids, but for us as family members.
I'm just going to say one other thing. We have 15 to 20 minutes, and a lot of issues were raised by the teachers, but without time to really explain a lot of the things. So I would like to open the floor to everybody. First of all, to thank all the teachers for coming over here tonight. We're very lucky to have such a big school and school system in Madison, Wisconsin, and we should be really thankful and supportive of this excellent public school system where I had my children and now have my grandchildren also. But also we're here taking precious time of each other, and I want you to ask questions to deepen understanding as detailed as how how does the bus system work? What is this DLI program? How do I help my child in the summertime to get ready for preschool and or kindergarten? We've got a lot of expertise up here, and we've just scratched the surface. So I hope the parents will take over now and ask more questions.
So I got a two-part question. How many kids are in a classroom?
So we're an AGR school. Previously, that's been called SAGE. It's the Achievement Gap Reduction. So we roster at 18. Classes can go up to 20, but we hold steady at 18 and lower right now.
And my second part of that question is, what is conflict resolution like in the classroom?
I'm going to get the microphone so everybody can hear this answer. Yeah. Who wants your microphone?
I mean, I can give it to Jamie. Yeah. Jamie, so a parent brought a conflict that happened on the bus to school today. She actually came and wanted to talk about something that her daughter had experienced on the bus. And so what I generally do, if it comes to me, it doesn't always come to me, but I take it back to the teacher, especially when the teachers are there. And so she can kind of tell you what ensued.
Yeah, so I didn't know much about what happened because it happened on the bus, but I brought first the child that had the complaint, and we talked about it, and I was very impressed how much sure she was about it. And I said, well, how did that make you feel? And she said, I was really embarrassed, Ms. Schneed. Like, I would be too. So I just kind of wanted to make sure I understood her and that her feelings were okay. And then I talked to the student that was the instigator, and we really talked about it, and we talked about empathy piece, like, wow, how would you feel if somebody did that to you? And we just really talked about it for quite a while, and she had written an apology note to the student, and then we just moved on to our day. So that's how that's.
So, okay, I think in the response to like, what does conflict resolution look like, I think that if I were being really honest, I'd say our school's still figuring that out. And I think teachers are always figuring that out in the juxtaposition of like, where are we in society and what's happening at Midvale, because it's a really interesting school in the sense that it's bringing two communities together. So it's absolutely, by no means, no exception to everything that's going on in all of our communities. And so then we're dealing with that in really real ways in our classroom. But I think about what Carol said, and the idea of like, it starts with love. I can tell you that every teacher at Midvale loves their students so deeply. So like, it doesn't make it perfect, and it doesn't make it feel good all the time, but I know that it comes from the right place for teachers. And I can say this, that the best thing that we can receive from the community is feedback on that. Because we're only going to be as good as the people supporting us as we work that out. So it's a great question, and I think it's something that we work real hard on, but we're not perfect at by a long shot.
I'd also like to say, I don't like that like we were saying before, and I think Ms. Galvan said this as well, that you know your child best. If you know, don't talk to my kid when they're angry, you're not going to get anything. Share that with your teacher. Like, there's nothing more we can only know what you share with us. And until then, it's just problem solving. So if you know this works best with my kid, don't hesitate to share that with the teacher. No teacher would ever be upset with you saying, hey, this is best for them. We welcome that, and that makes our job easier, and it makes our relationship with your child even stronger. So please, if you are worried about that, or if you just have this is what works best for us at home, please share that.
And we often ask kids, what do you need right now? And a lot of, so having students be able to identify, I need to take a break, or I had a student today who told me a lot. He's like, well, I need so-and-so to apologize to me. I said, that's great, but we can't control what other people are doing all the time. So what do you need to make yourself come back to a level where you're able to go back to class and be successful?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Of course, we get a lot of stomach aches and headaches, and a lot of times I will ask the kids. And I had a little girl kid come in today, and she said, "I have a stomach ache," And I said, well, if you've been to the bathroom. No, that won't help. Well, have you laid down? Usually I go to the bathroom, lie down. She said, no, that won't help. And I said, well, what's going to help you? And she ended up playing dominoes. We have a nice set of dominoes in the health office. And she just sat there and stacked them and knocked them down for 10 minutes. Because I do tell kids that the brain and the belly are best friends. And if something's on your mind, your belly's going to know about it. And a lot of times they just draw a picture or play with our dominoes, and then they're ready to go back. I have a lot of school nurses in training who are interested in other people's business. And I tell them that if they study really hard, then they get to learn about everybody else's business and be the school nurse.
It's a great start. So what other questions are out there? Multiple part questions are fine. So the communication across communities and the strength that I'm hearing just the tip of the iceberg, really. It is a phenomenal program. I will echo that. And really it is about asking the questions. If you walk away and say, oh, I wish I would have asked, they're not going anywhere, right? They're there, they're ready. I'm trying to think of other topics that might have come up during the discussions that might be helpful. Routines, like start of the day. When does One City start? I know for my children, it was a flexible start in early ed. Yep.
So we kind of had this idea, at One City, there's a huge emphasis on parent-teacher communication, and having worked with parents at One City, as a parent at One City, a lot of the feedback that I'm getting from other parents is kind of this fear of, okay, well, we can put our child into kindergarten and they can do how they do. We understand it's the starting point at kindergarten. Everyone's, going to be experiencing everything at the same time. But in terms of preparedness, in terms of what we're supposed to be doing to support our kids at home, in terms of this is where we started, now mid-year we're at this point, is that where we're supposed to be, how much progress, how are we measuring progress, play-based versus not play-based. A lot of parents are not understanding how they, as the, you guys talked a little bit about how parents are the first teacher, right? So we're going to be partnering with the school with our child's education, but what does that look like for our responsibility at home? And then also, what does that look like for us to be able to see some red flags? We want to be able to say, what, I'm noticing that she's not, reading, or she's not progressing, or that there's certain concepts that she's not getting. At what point am I supposed to hose everything down, so to speak, and say something is wrong? I don't think parents really have the tool set going in as kindergarten parents to know what they're supposed to be looking for, what they're supposed to be doing. And that is creating a lot of anxiety for people. And so if you guys could just speak a little bit about that in terms of how you're communicating with families, how you're partnering with families, and giving people the tool set to be able to be prepared as parents for the year.
So I can speak to starting off the school year in a I can speak for myself starting off the school year in Ready, Set, Goal conferences and November conferences, laying out sort of these are the goals for the end of the year. This is where your child is now, and this is how we're going to get them where they're going. I think, and I open it up for, actually started with what are your questions, what are your concerns, and move on from there. And I'd say I always make sure that if I think that there's something that I need you to know about how their progress is going, I'm on phone, and I'm calling you, and I'm asking you, and what do you think? Can you try this? And just sort of moving along that way. And so I think there is that concern, like, oh, just like Lucy said, like maybe I shouldn't call because I don't want to be that parent. But
I'm that parent. I'm calling.
I want to say you should be, right? And so I'm going to speak from personal experience growing up in a household of color, making sure that you are there to show your face, to make sure that the teacher sees you, to make or call you on the phone if you can't get there, but making sure that the teacher knows and say, you want to know those questions, because I think we all know sort of how the institutions can work.
I would have to say, being a parent who had a kid who went to kindergarten, first grade, second grade at Midvale, one of my experiences being in the dual immersion program, I don't need the mic. One of my greatest takeaways is having an African American son at Midvale is that every experience and every teacher that I was engaged with at Midvale was very personable. And then every step of the way took extra steps to reach out at the beginning of the school year and did exactly all of that. What do you need for your son? What type of child do you have? How do we communicate with your child? You know, how does he learn? And also reach out to Ashton. Ashton, how do you learn? What can what is it that we could do to make your learning experience great? I value that every step of the way with my son. One, because when he entered into the dual immersion program, that was new for us. I had all kinds of anxieties. How is this going to work? Because I don't speak Spanish. And so I mean, not just he was entering kindergarten, I don't speak Spanish. So I had all kinds of anxieties. You know, he wanted to do that and I wanted him to do that, but I don't speak Spanish. So, but I value that because in every step of the way, the teachers were very open and shared and asked questions. The last year of my experience at Midvale, the teacher actually said, hey, do you want to meet at school? Do you want to meet at the library? Do you want us to come to your house? How do you want to start off the school year? And that blew me away. So my whole experience, all 3 years, the whole time from beginning to end was absolutely phenomenal. So that was my experience. And I can't speak for every parent, but that was my experience for my son, in the dual immersion program, and even, working with Ms. Gavin and some of the teachers that I am familiar with. But yes, I told them what my expectations were as a parent and also my expectations to educate my child. And I was there every step of the way. So I laid down my ground rules and they adhered to that. And so that was my level of involvement. And it was supportive and it worked both ways.